Hello everyone, and welcome to the Path to 1 Million. My name is Cliff. This is going to be episode 95, and as promised, today with another story. This one here, I'm calling it The Mystery of Could've. Could've, would've, should've. Anyways, before I jump into today's story, as I said yesterday, episode 100 is around the corner, coming next Monday. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do a countdown of the 5 most popular episodes, so to speak, on here, based on the number of comments, based on the number of likes, based on the number of views, based on the number of downloads. So today's episode, I was trying to come up with some kind of scientific formula to pick, which would work really well. And for some reason I fell flat on that account. So I just said, you know what, I'm gonna have to pick different criteria every day. So today's episode is the most downloaded episode of the podcast. That would be episode number 64, where I talked about our greatest achievement. And I told a story about the Apollo program to go to the moon. Actually, it was the Mercury program, followed by the Gemini program, followed by the Apollo program. Every single step of the way, NASA had to run some kind of a small experiment just to see if what they wanted to do could actually be done. So for instance, the example that I gave in there about just like getting a man into space, do we have the technology just to do that? So what it boiled down to was the fact that a lot of big victories in life come from the smaller victories that we have. Just like every big problem is nothing more than a series of small problems that need to be solved. Whenever we want to do something big, whenever we want to have a huge accomplishment, we want to go for our moonshot, do something that absolutely scares us, we just want to make sure that we have the smaller victories in place to be able to achieve the larger victory. Anyways, that is episode 64. That was number 5 of the most popular on the list. I just wanted to share that with you today. So let's move on to the mystery of could've. The other day I'm having a phone conversation with a friend, and he asked me about the Facebook Lives and what I'm doing and getting my content out there. And I kind of walked him through a little bit what I was doing anyways. And he made this statement to me that I have heard, I don't know how many times, where he said, I really wish I could do what you do. And these statements always befuddled me. Always. The flip side of the coin is someone who will always say, oh, I wish I could do what you do. At the same point in time, I could never do what it is that you do. This has always been a complete mystery to me, something that I have never understood when people say that they can't do it or they couldn't do it or whatever it is. That when I take a look at my own life, I don't view myself as someone special. I did not have a privileged background. My parents were dirt poor when I was little. We were a lower class. We were on the lower rung of the middle class families. I didn't have access to great coaches. There was no such thing as the internet. So teaching was, I didn't have access to the world's greatest minds like I do today. Back then, I don't know if I really cared or not. I didn't have any special skills. I didn't have any special talents. It's just something that over the years, every time I've said to myself, if I want to do something, how do I do it, right? How do I move that ball forward in order to achieve whatever I want? And what I realized, of course, more than anything was that it boils down to a combination of drive, but also willpower too, is how bad you want it. And, once again, reading in David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, ditto with him. He grew up in an abusive household, and he made it into high school, and he just kind of lived up to that whole thug gangster thing. He didn't have any special talents or anything else. Just one day watching a commercial on TV, he said, I want to be a Navy SEAL. He didn't consider himself to be special or anything else like that. The one thing or the one quality that he has that I wish I had in spades was this absolute tenacity about not giving up. He just won't do it. And he's sharing a story in there about running the Ultraman Marathon in Hawaii. And Ultramarathon is you swim for 6.2 miles, you bike for 100 miles, and then you turn around and you run a double marathon. So that's like 52 miles. I think I might maybe last a half a mile in the water before I collapsed and said I give up. But not this cat. He doesn't have any any training, any physical training. He didn't have the right equipment. He didn't understand anything about nutrition or anything else like that. But he goes out and he competes in these events anyways, and he never gives up. He never stops what he's doing. And I know a lot of people would look at that and say, wow, I wish I could do that. And I know his next question or his next statement would be, then why don't you? Every chapter that is in that book of his, at the end, there's always some of these exercises that are in there. And he always talks about how when you're doing these things, if you take one step forward and accomplish one small thing, that'll propel you to the next step and to the next step. And he calls this concept like a cookie jar, right? You keep this cookie jar full of your victories. And then whenever you get to a point where like mentally you want to check out from the race or from the competition or whatever it is, just reach into that jar and grab one of those cookies, one of those previous victories that you had. And from my standpoint, like I said, I don't consider myself to be anything special or do anything extraordinary. I don't know if it's because people are just simply choosing not to do these, crazy things in life, or I don't know if it's because of fear in there. I know Tony Robbins has this whole big section about how people don't achieve what they want to achieve because of fear. But then again, I have to wonder if it's because of choice, because they're not really confronting that particular fear, or if they don't want to, or whatever that thing is. But it's just one of those mysteries in there where I sit there and I always think to myself, man, if people would just try, if they would just put that step forward, what I'm doing or what anybody else has done on the planet really is not that big of a mystery after all. It's just a matter of committing yourself to achieve something. So whatever button you have to push internally, however you drive yourself, whether you're driven by pain in an earlier life, whether you're driven by victory, whether you love confronting fear or hate confronting fear, whatever that is, if you want to achieve something great, it's always a matter of some kind of a mechanism inside of you, some combination of switches and buttons that you have to push or pull in order to move yourself forward, even if you want to move in that particular direction. Anyways, that was just some thoughts that were rattling around in the back of my head. I thought I would share those with you today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday, and I will be back again tomorrow with most popular episode, number 4, and I will see you then. Have a good day.